So we're walking around Athens right now. It was really beautiful when we got in because there was this beautiful like purplish color of the sunset. We're on our way to see some of the landmarks here. Acropolis is like the big one in the middle. You're gonna see that ruins on the top of this cliffs right in the middle of the city, which is really beautiful. You're gonna notice that a lot of people here love eating outside. People are always hanging out with their friends and eating, and just like always in groups, and outside seating is very big here. Let's go check out some stuff. So walking around, something I noticed about Athens specifically is that it's a very hipster culture, like hipster gothic, like very bohemian. Oh, there's like a Black Lives Matter graffiti done to the wall right there. You can kind of tell in the way that people dress. Also, I noticed that the people here are on like the lighter skin tones. Like I wouldn't say completely white, even though there's quite a few like blonde people here. I would say most people kind of land within the olive, not really brown, not really white, kind of something in the middle. There's a few dark skinned people here and there, but for the most part people are on the lighter skin side. So something you'll notice in Greek architecture is that they use a lot of pastel colors, which I think are very beautiful, like the creams and the blues and reds. Not everything's too strong, but also everything is like cubish and like squarish. Some of the like churches and stuff have round edges, but in most of the architecture here it's very modern, contemporary, and very like boxy. There's a lot of like sharp corners. We've been seeing a lot of kids here with moms on the street, and she was asking me, where are the dads? And I'm like, well, it's a Friday, so if the moms are on the street with the kids at like 12 o'clock, it must mean that dads are working, you know? I'm guessing that they're more traditional in that sense. Look at this, look how many families are out. This is exactly the stuff I love to see. Athens is so interesting because it feels like a mix of like a Middle Eastern country but also Europe. I haven't been to the Middle East, but that's definitely kind of the vibe that I get. Also, every single house that we've seen, all the apartments, they always have a terrace. They almost always have like chairs and a table out there, and you can see that they hang their clothes outside. In a lot of ways, Greece feels a little more Wild West than most of Europe because most of Europe is very organized. Most of Greece is actually pretty clean. There's not a lot of trash everywhere, but it does feel like a little more free, a little more liberal. People cross the streets without using the crosswalks. The streets don't really have lines telling you where the lanes are. It just feels a little more loose here. It doesn't feel unsafe though walking around. Like I'm walking around with my camera, I don't feel super unsafe. We're getting out of the metro station now. That metro that we just rode was very packed and it smelled like gyro. Everywhere we go when there's a lot of people and sweat, it smells like gyro or like meatballs. It's really funny. So we're in Acropolis. This seems to be like the big tourist attraction for here in Athens. It's very beautiful. I think in the afternoon we're gonna try to get like a better view of it. And because we're going in the winter time, all the tickets are half off. So definitely worth it for sure. It's not even that cold really. We're on the top of Acropolis. It's very beautiful here. There's just so many people right now. I mean, I can't imagine during the summer it must be way worse. But right now it's actually pretty nice. So you get such a beautiful view of the city. Some of the exhibits are closed and you can see like scaffoldings and stuff. But other than that, it's still worth it just to see the main attraction. So I feel like if you go to a lot of the Greek monuments, they all kind of look the same, but this one definitely stands out, and I think the whole entire entrance is worth it just for the view. Also, something that I noticed is there aren't any like tall size skyscrapers or anything. I wonder if it's like because of the city. I don't know. We're walking around the Acropolis Museum. The thing about museums in Europe is that once you go to one, you've kind of seen them all. They're all kind of very similar. Okay, for example, like the Louvre or the one in the Vatican. You just have a bunch of paintings from like different eras, but they all look the same. And that's kind of the problem with the museum here. It's like 10 years to get in. It's just like a bunch of pieces of rock, but a lot of it's like incomplete. So they'll tell you like a description of what it is. You kind of have to imagine what it's like, because it'll be like they fought a battle here and it's just like half a rock. And it's just look, it's just a bunch of rocks. It is very beautiful though. I mean, like the coffee that we had on the balcony was very nice. You get some really beautiful views of the city. But to say that like worth like the 10 euros, probably not, to be honest. Now that I'm older, I think most museums are pretty boring, if I'm being honest.
Es costoso para lo que es.
Exactly. Here during the sunset is so beautiful. Out of all the sunsets that I've seen in the world, this is one of the nicest because the way that the sun sets on the city, and because the city is surrounded by mountains, it gives a very unique color and tone. So something super random. You're gonna find that our cats like just everywhere in the street, but we have yet to see a stray dog. We don't know why that is. Maybe, you know, it's been here for a while. I need to find out what's the reason for that. There's just so many cats everywhere. It's pretty funny. So how is the food? Greek food is some of the best food that I've ever had in my life. Most of the people here are like thin, taller in shape, right? Just like the regular European style. But you have a pretty big obese population. Funny that it seems that most people are either like thin and fit or very obese. There's very few people in the middle, but they kind of line up with one of those lines. It's not hard to see why, because the food here is so freaking good, bro. Some of the best food I've ever had in my life. We found an IKEA here, and I'm trying to explain the concept of IKEA to my wife. I remember this used to be like one of my favorite date spots back in the day. And before we got there, we saw this like farmer's market, meat market kind of street. I noticed here in Athens that there are a lot of like alleyways. So this part of Athens reminds me a lot of like Seattle. The way that the markets are, the way the streets are set up, and just the overall vibe. It's not as cold as we thought it would be because the sun is nice. Like in the shade, it's a little chilly with the wind, but overall it's really, really nice. There's a lot of shops and stuff and like places to eat, which looks exactly like Seattle. A very different vibe than like the main downtown center of Athens. Makes it very worth it to visit. Really weird because we're here on a Saturday. For being such a commercial spot, all the places are dead. So we got on the bus from the port area and we're making our way to a park nearby. Interesting thing, we tried paying for the bus, but the driver's area was like blocked off, so we couldn't even get in there. Most people didn't seem to be paying. It seems to be that like the buses, I guess on the weekends maybe, are free. Something to keep in mind because if we took a taxi, it probably would have cost like 10 euro. And we just got on the bus, we walk a little bit, it's free. So we're walking around this park called Stavros Niarchos Park. So on one side there's like a track where everybody's working out, but we're just entering the park right now. My God, European parks are always just so gorgeous. Something that we've noticed is that family values in Greece are so important. We always see family like spending time with each other, family values, and I love that. The Greek people here haven't been the most like super friendly to us, but within their own families and stuff, you can tell that there's a lot of familial values, and I think that's really beautiful.
Como hacer una mujer feliz.
So now we're in this part where there's like a library or like a cultural center, which looks like a museum. Take a look at it. This feels a lot more like Europe. I feel like I'm in Sweden or one of the Scandinavian countries with just how the infrastructure is and how beautiful it is. Every neighborhood has such a different, unique feel to it. There's just so many families running around too. We see so many people with strollers. There are just families everywhere. I don't even think I've seen a single mom here. All of the women that I've seen with kids have rings or they're with their husbands. Really, really amazing to watch. So we just saw this really amazing fountain show. Just kind of happened out of nowhere. Man, Greece is slowly becoming my favorite European country because the food is 10 out of 10. Beauty of the city is 10 out of 10. The culture here is 10 out of 10. There's so many things to love about it. We didn't have time this time, but I would definitely like to see a lot more of this country in the future. Every time they serve you food, they always serve you water in cups and they bring you a bottle. Also, in a lot of restaurants, they offer bread for free, and I have to say that Greek bread is some of the best bread I've ever had in my life. So we're walking around like kind of near Acropolis where all the stores are. Over the weekends, Greece is popping, man. Seems like Sundays and Saturdays, just weekends in general, that's when everybody goes out. Families go out, kids go out, teenagers go out. And even when you go to like the restaurants and stuff, you'll see that there are like old people with the younger crowd as well. Everybody's just out and it's very noisy. The nightlife here is very, very vibrant. It seems that on Sundays, nothing's open. I think it's like a cultural thing. As a business, I feel like it would make more sense to open on Sundays, but I guess here, Sundays are rest days, which is pretty cool. Greek women are actually some of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. My wife and I were talking about it and I asked her, do you think that Greeks are more beautiful than Colombians? And she told me that maybe physically, because they're a little more natural, they don't have a lot of plastic surgery here. But Colombians are really attractive for their energy and for their personality, right? Whereas the Greek women are a little more standoffish, but a lot more polished and just like physically, naturally beautiful. So Acropolis is like in the middle of the city and you get a good view. But here is actually even higher. Out of all the places here in Athens, this is probably the nicest view. We've just been like wandering around the city, right? Like away from the tourist areas. Everywhere you go, you'll just find a random street with a restaurant or two or like a nice street of restaurants. And I think that may just be like the European way of life. They know how to have a balance between work and enjoying yourself. Athens is its best around like 4 to 6:30 p.m. because during the sunset time, the city is so beautiful. The lighting of the whole entire city and the weather is really nice right now. It's not too cold. And it's weird because it feels like time goes slower here because we've been waking up at like 11, 12, but it feels like that's when the day starts. So we'll be eating at like 1 in the afternoon, and on the outside with the lighting and everything, it feels like 10 in the morning. It's really weird. I highly recommend that when you're here in Athens, just go walk around everywhere. Take the metro or take the bus and just go to a random place. You can go to the tourist stuff. I feel like you can do most of that in a day, but if you spend extended time here just getting to know the landscapes and the random parks that you run into and where all the locals hang out, I feel like it's the best way to experience the city. Food is way better outside of the tourist areas because it's the same but just like way cheaper. The style of life here is just so nice. It's so chill. Something that fascinates me so much about Greece is that even though it's a very small country, I feel like it's so influential just in culture and history. There's a lot to love about Greece, and it's slowly become my favorite European country, if I'm being honest. Switzerland was up there when I went there, but I think Greece just has a little more culture. There's a lot more things to do here. Hopefully you guys can come and visit. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you later. Bye.
Walking in the rain never felt right till you